Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. American wanted for murder in Washington held in Jamaica. A man wanted for murder committed in Washington, D.C. earlier this year was arrested in Kingston on Tuesday. According to U.S. media reports, Reggie Reynolds of Bells Village, Maryland, was arrested by members of the United States Marshal Service and Caribbean Regional Fugitive Task Force. The 24-year-old is accused of fatally shooting 27-year-old Tarek Booth of Alexandria, Virginia. The incident occurred in Georgetown, Northwest Washington, D.C., after the two men engaged in an argument on January 31st. There were no details provided on what led U.S. authorities to Jamaica to nab Reynolds. The American is expected to be extradited to Washington for charges to be laid, according to reports. Rev to face charges in massive Kingston gun fine. The Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF has charged Rev Martin, otherwise called Rev, who is said to be the mastermind behind the recent illegal importation of 21 guns into the island. The weapons were seized in Kingston on March 4, 2022 by members of the Jamaica Customs Agency. 18 handguns, 3 rifles, and a large cut of ammunition were found. The 51-year-old businessman from Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth, was charged with conspiracy to illegally import firearms and conspiracy to illegally import ammunition. According to police reports, Martin was arrested in Ochoa, St. Anne on Sunday, August 7, by detectives assigned to the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Branch following intense investigations which featured several lines of inquiry. He is scheduled to appear in the gun court on Friday, September 16. Residents of Tex Lane counting their losses following fire. Several residents of Tex Lane in downtown Kingston are counting their losses after fire gutted their house on August 16. Some of them say their belongings have been completely destroyed or badly damaged. A family of 4 is now without a roof over their heads after fire gutted their 7-bedroom dwelling. One of the victims recalled the horrific incident, saying she and her mother narrowly escaped the blaze through a back fence.
So I woke up 3 something and I called the police because my grandfather woke up 2:30 when the fire started. When he came out and he was like calling and screaming and coming in the house and it was like fire, fire, fire. So that time my mother waked me up and she was like, get up, grab anything you can grab. But I couldn't grab anything because the house was burning and it was spreading so fast. And by the time I looked, my mother was there and she tried to escape through the front door, but we couldn't because the whole place was burning and the fire was rising. So we had to escape through the back fence that we had and we had to kick it out. And while we were there kicking it out, we were screaming for help because we couldn't kick it up ourselves. So grandfather came out and tear down the fence, and when we escaped, I bumped my toe, my foot sprained. I didn't hear it because I was sleeping, but person said that they heard like a glass boom, it break, and person smelled gas, and that's all. He woke up because he felt the heat. So when he wake up, came over our part and tried to wake us up and let us escape. But in like that time, we couldn't grab anything because we were devastated, we were frustrated, we were worried. We couldn't grab nothing at all. So we had to escape without nothing. And I have school September and I have nothing.
Meanwhile, another resident said he lost all his appliances in the fire, as well as his cart and material he used for his juice selling business.
The fire wake me up this morning. You know, let me out bed asleep and the fire eat. You take me. I'm get up. I'm time I get up and push the door. I peer fire me see. From upstairs come down. I'm try to rush out and come outside. Me have to run out of the street. Me couldn't stay in the yard. Cause I peer fire eat in the yard. The hot teeth that kill me in there. So I couldn't do nothing. I could just call my daughter them and make them come out of the yard. And see the whole place burned down now. I lose my TV, I lose my fridge, my stove. I lose my clothes, I lose my money. The fire burn out everything I have. I have nothing, not leave. I sell my juice, I buy my material, then burn out. I have nothing. My car burn, my bicycle burn, everything I have burn.
Incompetent, Crawford slammed Education Ministry for lack of preparation for new school year. Incompetent, opposition spokesman for education Damon Crawford is slamming the government for its preparedness for the new school year. Speaking Wednesday afternoon, Mr. Crawford says the Education Ministry under Favor Williams is failing to treat issues such as the potential shortage of teachers with the urgency required.
If there is ever an example of the incompetence of the Jamaica Labour Party government in the execution of their mandate, the current unpreparedness for the reopening of public school system is one such. We find this to be extremely worrying for the first year of return to full year of normalcy since the COVID-19 pandemic dramatically impacted the learning experience of over 200,000 Jamaican children. Indeed, almost every aspect to a smooth school reopening that falls under the control of government is in a state of disarray. The minister seems not to grasp the importance of the long-run cost curve, which values the contribution and importance of experience to performance. It is for this reason, therefore, that one can reasonably argue that the immediate steps need to be taken to mitigate against the negatives the system is about to endure going into the new school year. Additionally, more long-term strategies must be designed to make Jamaica remain competitive for our Jamaican teachers. Consider motor vehicle concessions of varying percentages for teachers serving 5 years, 10 years, and 15 years, unbroken. 3, reduce student loan by 5% for every year the teacher stays within the public education system. 4, arrange for special teachers limit of approximately $14 million per person from the NHT with a 1% interest rate, which transforms to the normal loan once the teacher leaves the system. Indeed, communication with principals suggests that between 20 and 60% of our students will not be able to get all the books due to them on the rental system. To this extent, we believe that there are solutions that a group bankrupt of ideas is not seeing. These include: 1, immediately invest $2 billion in replenishing the book stock in the rental scheme. Allow parents using technology to purchase chapters as it becomes necessary, thus extending the cost over a period of time and not having the full cost immediately. One of those realities and examples is the choice made by the Prime Minister of this country to cancel the loan for the Montego Bay bypass that was coming from the Chinese government and to fund it from the budget instead of to fund the education from the budget, instead of to fund the school infrastructure improvements from the budget, instead of finding the children from the budget. The World Bank has suggested that Jamaica needs $4 billion for learning recovery. The government has given $1 billion for learning recovery. And when people ask, where would you find the money? We would have found the money if we took the loan as was agreed, as was discussed, as was to be implemented. I am often confused by the decisions taken by the government and further confused by the celebrations within the space of the people when those decisions are inefficient and impractical decisions. If we are in a crunch for cash and we received, thanks to the People's National Party, and long may live Portia Simpson Miller, a grant from the Chinese government to build a particular type of school, it would be more sensible, I believe, for that school to be targeted towards teaching teachers, training the multiplicity of trainers that will impact many students, more so than to have a very few of our students grapple and fight like they do for the champions and KCs of this world to go to that school.
Pan-Africanist Bert Samuels again calls for government to make Garveyism compulsory in schools. As Jamaica and the African diaspora celebrate the birthday of Marcus Garvey on August 17, yet another call is being made for the Education Ministry to include his teaching and philosophies in the compulsory school curriculum. Pan-Africanist Bert Samuels said it's important that Garvey's legacy is kept alive, and one way of doing this is by ensuring that the future generations learn about Garvey and adapt his lessons. Mr. Samuels noted that Garvey influence and impact encompassed far more than Black identity and pride.
The tremendous influence of Marcus Garvey internationally, to know that the Ghanaian flag has his colors in it, because Nkrumah recognized the worth of Garvey's work, and to know that Malcolm X's father was a Garveyite. I just few of the things that we should be proud of about Marcus Garvey, who only lived for 52 years and achieved so much to make us proud. He's the first Pan-Africanist who sets the trail for those of us who are in love with Africa, in love with ourselves, and in love with Black pride. We salute Marcus Garvey on the 17th of August to commemorate his great legacy to the world. He's the gift to the black man, which will never be forgotten. Because of our self-hate and the fact that we don't cherish our history. Marcus Garvey's work is part of the repair job that should be done to the minds of black children so that we drop this inferiority complex, we drop the need to bleach and all these negative things. Yes, we encourage and ask the Minister of Education to make it compulsory and that all children should be taught Garveyism. When you look at how robust the teachings of Marcus Garvey is, he talked about economics, he talked about self-pride, he talked about having an economy which black people would subscribe to. I think that it is very relevant for self-reliance because he not just taught black pride, but he taught us how that we should support business. He taught that we should be readers. He was in love with books. He printed a newspaper. That's the benefit of Garveyism. I think that there should be more documentaries because the schools are not adopting it. We should have it that there should be monuments around. There should be stories printed on these monuments so that Garveyism would be in our faces, that there should be billboards giving different quotes from Marcus Garvey. I see some of them on Mandela. Similarly, we should be having, electronic billboards which sets out the principles with rotating messages from the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey so that it sinks into the psyche of black children.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification